Hey guys, how you doing? Tiger Orchid here. Good to see so many of you online, especially as I'm running a bit late today. Sorry. Hey chat, what's going on? I've got my caffeine fix, got my snacks. So, we've got this new game, She Could Fly digital documentary escape game. All right, so we're gonna have to help each other out here. Right, just getting used to this point and click and turning around, right? Okay, let's take a look. Right, so let's go through here and take a look. All right, so it's not a creepy Victorian or horror house, or... Okay, I think we should try the door by the pink elephant. Okay, a pink elephant, cute. Okay, it all looks normal in here. It's a bit messy actually. Well, it's a piece of the She Could Fly comic book. But why would someone rip up a comic book? Tidy your bedroom, Hannah! I mean, okay, a magpie. It's knitted. I wonder if she made it. 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, isn't it? Ah! No, I'm only joking. I'm joking. Just pretend it's a jump scare. Sorry. I hope I didn't freak you out. The chat is going crazy. And another piece of what looks like a comic. Okay, here we are. It's a letter. What does it say? Poor Hannah. Yeah, I feel sorry for her. I have a heart. Hey, what's going on? Don't sit down. No. Okay, you're back. Cool. Woo! I was having a bit of a heart attack there. Look, okay. I guess that means no entry? Nice! You found all the pieces. Maybe you can read a bit of the comic. I am just...
OCD is really interesting because it can present in so many different ways. I think the unifying theme is it's really about a fear of causing or failing to prevent harm to yourself or to other people. And the ways in which that can show itself are really varied. So worrying about checking things or contamination or causing harm. But the key thing is it causes people a lot of distress and takes up a significant amount of their time. It's pretty common, so about 1 to 2% of the population is estimated to have OCD.
The O part of OCD, the obsessions, are intrusive thoughts, images, urges, feelings, something that causes you extreme distress and anxiety. So they might be around the fear of harming people, the fear of being contaminated or becoming ill, the fear of acting sexually violent on somebody. They can literally be about anything, but usually they are against your morals or your identity or something that doesn't sit right with you, something that you fear doing. And the C part of OCD, compulsions, are the things that you do in response to the intrusive thoughts to try and alleviate that anxiety. So that can be anything from physical rituals such as tapping things, counting out loud, or mental rituals like avoiding certain situations, asking for reassurance, or ruminating.
OCD works as a kind of cycles. When the thought comes along, for me, I'll feel really endangered. And because of that feeling of danger, I feel like I need to do something to get rid of it. So I do compulsion, and for me, that's an internal compulsion. That for a short term alleviates the anxiety. It makes us feel a little bit better. But over time, it tells our brain, actually, you do need to do a little compulsion to get yourself to feel better. So we enter this cycle of experiencing intrusive thoughts, feeling endangered, needing to do a compulsion to get rid of it. So the cycle continues.
I was actually studying abroad in Melbourne, and it was probably one of the happiest times of my life. And then I just got plagued with these really terrifying intrusive thoughts. I won't go exactly into the different thoughts, but yeah, they were just really, really scary and made me fear my own mind.
I think OCD is like an overactive alarm in your head. It's like going around with radio fear on all the time. It really constrains your world, it shrinks it, and it makes you hyper-focused on things that don't matter to anyone else.
When I first realized that what I had was OCD, it was quite scary because I had a certain idea that OCD was just about cleaning because of the way I grew up. I had only ever been exposed to the idea of OCD from obsessive compulsive cleaners. And my mum and I used to watch it, and she used to always say to me, if I don't clean my room, this is what's going to happen.
What it feels like for me is that I'm in a boxing ring and there's someone else in the boxing ring and it's also me, and I'm relentlessly beating myself up and I can't keep my gloves up. I think I use that phrase a lot when things are just feeling overwhelming in my life, which is I just feel like I can't keep my gloves up, I can't keep my guard up, and so you just end up on the ropes, and I continue to feel like I'm being pummeled, right? And that my mind is being relentless with me.
Obsessions can take a host of different forms, which is why sometimes it's hard for people to realize they have OCD. It could be someone worried about causing an accident, like forgetting to turn off the stove. It might be someone with urges to arrange objects in a room until they feel just right. It could be feeling the urge to compulsively urinate. And I'd say that the ones that the public seems to know more about involve obsessions with things about contamination, germs, symmetry, order, or causing inadvertent harm.
I often kind of think of intrusive thoughts as a kind of spam email. So all of us kind of get intrusive thoughts. It's not just common to OCD. So while we're walking around, we're constantly being bombarded by these spam emails. And most of the time we've got spam filters active. So we kind of, on some level, recognize that the thought we've had is not really relevant to what we're talking about right now. Occasionally, some spammy thoughts will kind of work their way through to our inbox, and they can be mislabeled as high priority. You've got to like deal with this right now. And that trips up a lot of people when they start worrying compulsively about something, that they take a sort of benign, spammy, intrusive thought and start to prioritize it and treat it like it's something that really is important and does need to be dealt with there and then.
My first memories are when I was 8 years old. My dad had just died, and I remember I started to get these really anxious feelings. And by touching things, touching door frames a set number of times, saying phrases a set number of times before I went to sleep at night, kind of took away that fear.
And that's why it's very important that people get the help at the right time. But OCD is like a bully. It's waiting for you when you wake up. It's constantly there, nagging you, telling you to do things. And the bully tends to grow and make more and more demands as the OCD tends to grow. It gets more complicated. Compulsions can also involve other people. An example of that might be is reassurance seeking or excessive reassurance seeking, where people might ask their loved ones repeatedly whether their hands are clean, whether they did something inappropriate, etc. So that can become very compulsive and very time-consuming and interfering as well.
When I was 19, I looked it up, unwanted intrusive thoughts or unwanted scary thoughts. And I found out that there was a thing called OCD, and there was a nickname called Puro for people like me who were experiencing these intrusive thoughts, but who were only using kind of mental, invisible compulsions like thinking over and over a past event, ruminating, worrying, and seeking reassurance from others. There were people who were doing these things, but not washing their hands, not counting, not tapping, not switching lights on and off.
People are often not quite sure why they're doing them, but they know that they do reduce their anxiety. And that's the first thing that they want to act on.
There's pretty much always like a really meaningful link between the obsessional thoughts that people have, the thoughts of harm occurring or the intrusions, and the compulsions that people do. If, for example, you have an obsession that you might stab a family member across the dining table, then the compulsion might be to sit further away from that person or to not be anywhere near a sharp knife. If your obsession was that you might blaspheme, you might do rituals of trying to push those thoughts out of your head or to pray for forgiveness.
My first experience with OCD was when my mum would go to work as a teenager. If she wasn't home by 8 p.m. every day and it was like 10 minutes late, she was 10 minutes late, I would flick switches, I'd be super anxious. And I remember one of the biggest compulsions I had as a teenager was I was doing some exercise at home and I was doing some lunges and I was counting reps in my head, and anytime I got an intrusive thought, I would start the rep all over again. And the next day my knees were bruised purple because I was compulsively exercising, and that's when I knew something didn't feel quite right.
When I was 12, 13, my mum got a brain tumour, and my OCD kind of manifested in, again, trying to control everything. But I never knew anything about OCD during this time, absolutely nothing. It waxed and waned. Probably until I was like 24, this is when I was diagnosed. I had really bad health anxiety. I was convinced I was going to die, and no one could tell me otherwise. I ended up having to go to a psychiatric hospital and stay for 3 weeks. And that's when they diagnosed me with OCD. I was doing so many compulsions to check for illness.
Okay, well, that was pretty moving stuff. And they were real people, right? So watching these films, that's going to help us. Okay, can you hear that lock sound? Or someone's trying to tell us something. All right, let's get out of here. sweet freedom. And I'm getting quite hungry. Maybe we can stop for some pizza or something. Oh. Well, we're back. Ah, that old chestnut. We're stuck. Oh, it wants to find the comic pieces again. Oh, of course they do. Okay, all right. Let's try again. Okay, back where we started and back in the lounge. Okay, so we know what we got to do, right? Collect pieces of comic and put them on that plinth thingy. What does it say in this notebook? I guess it's Hannah's? I'm a failure. I'm never enough, and I let everyone down. What? Hannah's being a bit hard on herself. Or maybe not. Maybe it's true and she's just bleakly self-aware. Okay, so it looks like these pieces are from a new set of pages. Oh, she loves her knitted birds. Look, a funny looking chicken. Oh, come on. No, come back, please. Look, I love a beanbag, but now's not the time for sitting down. Come on, let's get on with the game and we'll have some time for something else after. I don't know, what do you think? Maybe Minecraft? Forza 5? Nah, actually, I prefer 4. Maybe Forza 4. Ah, a kitchen. Right. The kitchen is one of my favorite. Okay, this card. Who is it from? We're getting good at this. Well done, Team Tiger. Okay, I'm never doing that again. Let's watch these films. How does Darth Vader like his toast? On the dark side. Sorry. Okay, one more. Okay, the door has got a load of writing all over it. Okay, what are you supposed to do, though? Okay, what does it say? Okay, the hunger is kind of real now because I kind of feel like sweet chili crisps. There's some bread over there. I wonder if we can make some toast. Okay.
I think what's really interesting is that from studies, we know that if you write down or get a list of all of the different intrusive thoughts that people experience, and if you ask experts to distinguish between the intrusive thoughts that someone with OCD has and the intrusive thoughts that someone that doesn't have the disorder has, we know that experts can't distinguish between them. So if we're all experiencing these intrusive thoughts and the content's not different, the thing that is different is the meaning that we give to those intrusive thoughts.
I would say feeling stuck in a loop with OCD genuinely feels like hell to me. Like if I had to envision hell, purgatory, it would be a compulsion, and I just feel like every fiber of my body is burning, my hands are sweating, I feel anger, and I just feel nothing but distress. And as a result of struggling with OCD, I have struggled with some severely low moods, and it has taken me to really dark places where I would rather just not exist than be stuck in this tornado. It's like there's a hotel that I want to enter, but I'm just caught in the revolving door. And it's really frustrating because I just want to check in and I just want to get on with my day and I can't. And then all these other people are behind me, but these other people are like all the other thoughts that are now coming in, and I can't let these thoughts flow through because I'm fixated on this revolving door, and it's just a blockage between my normal thoughts and me wanting to progress with my day, and I feel like I can't, and it just feels too painful.
Fear and fear responses are absolutely vital for our survival, but anxiety is as well. Anxiety is, at its core, an evolutionary adaptation to us understanding threats that may be occurring and helping us to evaluate how to take action.
So my kind of fight-flight system will switch on. I feel really hypervigilant, like I need to look out for danger, like everything's going against me. Physically, that feels like my heart racing, sweating, feeling quite claustrophobic, feeling quite stuck, and needing to kind of get rid of this feeling that's horrible.
So we don't know exactly what causes OCD. It's probably a mixture of things. So genes explain probably some bit of it. The environment explains probably a lot of it, and then people's experiences can also play a role. Sometimes it's very clear. So I've seen people, for example, where their OCD involves lots of checking behaviors, so they find it very difficult to leave their house. And when they were children, their house got burned down because someone forgot to turn the cooker off. Sometimes it's that obvious, and you can make that link, and it makes perfect sense why people get quite preoccupied with these kinds of things. But sometimes it's just completely random. It makes me very, very angry when kind of famous people are saying that they're a bit OCD. It's so offensive. It's unbelievable that people can do this. You would never say this about any other things, like, oh, I've got a tiny bit of cancer, that's great because it makes me thin. But with OCD, people think it helps them to keep their house clean. It's stupid, ridiculous, and makes me very angry. Anyway.
People don't even know they have it because there is such a lack of knowledge around it, and people are ashamed of thoughts they'll have or little compulsions or obsessions they have that they're frightened to tell anyone they know, or even a doctor. So the myths that minimize OCD are particularly harmful.
I think that shame and that embarrassment comes from the fact that we just, we don't talk about OCD enough. We don't talk about the dark side of it. We don't talk about the taboo intrusive thoughts, the embarrassing compulsions. And we need to talk about those more to normalize them, so that when you say to somebody, I have OCD, they don't respond with, oh yeah, me too, I really like my house clean and tidy. They respond with, oh my goodness, that's awful, I'm really sorry to hear that, and they really take it seriously.
Harm thoughts can be, sometimes people fear causing accidental harm. So that's where you're worried that, you might leave something like the stove on, something dangerous on at home. So there's that kind of fear of accidental harm. There is the fear of people causing purposeful harm. So this can take the form that you see with Luna, where you might worry or have thoughts, you might just have these images of harming people that you love the most in the most gruesome ways.
Or that you're going to be to blame for like a mass incident of harm, or that you have harmed, so that you see a newspaper article that says that there's been a school murder and that you worry that you were somehow involved or somehow to blame or somehow caused it.
OCD seems to turn what the sufferer finds most objectionable into obsessions, then vilifies the sufferer for having them. So people with OCD are naturally people of good conscience. Because the disorder leads them to doubt their goodness, they perform rituals to compensate for any badness and to prove their obsessions are not intended.
I think the important thing to really understand is that OCD is the opposite of who you are. So it's the opposite of the values that you hold. It would be the loving parents that develop OCD around harming their children.
as a society, we tend to really get confused about this a lot. There's a huge difference between thinking something and doing it. And this is what scares a lot of people with OCD. Just because I've had a thought, does that mean I either want to do it or might be capable of doing it or have actually done it and I can't remember?
So no one with OCD has ever been found to actually act upon their compulsions and obsessions and do something really bad. It's just that they're so fearful of that thing that they feel like they need to do everything in their power to make sure it doesn't happen.
The reason why I want to work with people with OCD is that they tend to be the kindest and best people in the world, because they are so afraid of any harm. They're always nice and gentle people and wonderful to work with. So that's the common theme you see.
Stigma is grounded in the stereotypes of society, and stigma involves sort of separating others from us, and it can lead to distancing. So when people think that they don't want to be friends or neighbors or work with people of a certain group, and that can lead to large-scale inequality.
There's nothing positive about being OCD. OCD is debilitating and it steals people's lives away from them. And so when there's OCD jokes are made, it really kind of trivializes the severity of the condition, and it perpetuates the stigma, and it makes it much more difficult for people to open up and to talk about OCD and to seek help for their problems. Helping decrease stigma is massively important.
More powerful stuff. Wow. Okay, we've watched some videos, we've learnt some things. Great. Wait, what was that noise? Did you hear that clang? It's the bread knives. Oh, so every time you watch the film, something unlocks. Let's face it, a bread knife is far more useful than a sword in this day and age, I think. Okay, I know that kind of sounds like I've confessed to something. Please don't get me arrested. Look, I just want some toast. I'm hungry. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. We burnt the toast. Oh, what a genius. We need to do something about that alarm. Okay, can we just switch off that alarm? Again! Do it, can you do it again? Ah, thank goodness. Wait, is that a washing up sponge? No, I'm pretty sure I put bread in that toaster. Wait, is that how we make sponges? Great, we have a sponge. I'm not that much into cleaning. Anyone else feel compelled? Be my guest. Oh, all right. You're meant to be cleaning the door, not adding more writing. Well, hey, nice one. Maybe we'll actually get to leave this time. How did the hacker escape the police? He ran somewhere. Yeah, he ran. Okay, yeah, we're free. I'm gonna go to the cafe and get some unburnt toast and tea. I mean, I'd love a cuppa. It has to be Yorkshire tea though. You know, all the rest are kind of substandard. Yeah. Oh no, back in this corridor. Again.